today we are discussing about paraquat poisoning. You know that paraquat is one of the most common herbicide used in our country. Paraquat is widely available. There are two similar chemical components, that paraquat and diquat. Paraquat is freely available in our country. It is used as a herbicide. It's a non-selective herbicide that is relatively inexpensive. That's why it is very commonly available in our state and country. Diquat is a related herbicide that is often formulated with paraquat. Diquat poisoning have clinically similar features of paraquat poisoning. So we may not discuss detail about diquat. The mortality rate of paraquat poisoning is very high. It is more than 90% in most of the cases. Normally they take full mouth of paraquat. So the mortality rate is around 90% in this herbicide poisoning. When we see the mechanism of action of this poisoning, after ingestion, paraquat is concentrated inside many cells in our body, which undergoes redox cycling, a process involved in repetitive enzyme-mediated cycling between paraquat and paraquat radicals. A byproduct of this process is superoxide radical. It's a highly reactive oxygen species. Remember, it's a highly reactive oxygen species which produces direct cellular injury or react further to form other reactive oxygen species and nitrate radicals. That's why this is a one poison where we should use oxygen with caution. Redox cycling consumes NADPH, one of the cell's key antioxidant defenses. So that is also there. Cell defense will be deteriorated or dearranged. The resultant oxidative stress created by the production of free radicals and the depletion of NADPH directly causes cell damage. So that is very important and leads to a severe secondary inflammatory response. So all these free radicals will produce cell inflammation and multi-organ dysfunction syndrome. Oxygen given during the early phases can aggravate this problem. That's why oxygen should not be used in early phases of the paraquat poison until it is strongly indicated. Now we will see what are the organs involved in our body because of this paraquat poison. Almost all organs which has got a high blood supply will be involved in paraquat poison except brain. So brain is mostly unaffected, but when you do a CSF study, you can get paraquat in CSF, but brain is commonly not affected. So the common organs are lungs, kidneys, heart and liver. One thing we have to understand this, most of the herbicides also will have some other components. There will be dye in that, there will be some emetic in that, some other stretching agents, so many other agents also co-formulated with these herbicides. We can expect complication because of that also. Now we will see what is a lethal dose. Swallowing more than 30 ml, a mouthful or this poison is lethal dose. So remember, whenever these patients take with alcohol also. So patient can have both features of paraquat poison and alcohol intoxication. And many patients who are having depression or anxiety, they may be on that drugs also. So remember two things. There will be a co-ingestion of alcohol or many other drugs that should be taken care. But normally, if they take one mouthful, that is around 30 ml, that is a lethal dose of this paraquat. Now we will see the clinical features. Whenever we get a paraquat poison, always examine the oral cavity thoroughly, because one of the common finding we see in paraquat poisoning is ulcers all around the mouth. There will be dysphagia, there will be nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain. All are due to local inflammation and necrosis and ulceration inside the oral cavity and GI tract. Patients can have dyspnea, tachypnea, bilateral infiltration or crepitation that can be due to various reasons. In initial phase, it can be due to aspiration induced by vomiting. Okay, so vomiting can produce aspiration, which can produce pneumonitis. Later, it can be due to a type of ARDS or chemical pneumonitis. Most of these patients will develop ultimately renal failure. So creatinine can be elevated, anuria, all these things can be there. So acute renal injury indicates a very high dose of paraquat poisoning, and acute tubular necrosis can produce complete shutdown of urine, and that may be that may indicate the severity of the paraquat poison. Somebody is having renal failure, that type of paraquat poisons are severe and they are going to become worse very fast. Now, what are the investigations we can do in emergency room? We can do the we can put a Ryle's tube and take the gastric contents for examination. We can take blood for paraquat levels. We can take urine for paraquat levels. Now, all these three, the urine examination is very, very important, because the paraquat will be absorbed from the stomach fast. It will be removed from the blood very fast. It will be going through the urine for a longer period. So it will be removed through the urine. So even after 4-6 hours, if you check the urine, it will be there in the urine, but it will not be present in the blood after a few hours. So urine examination is very, very important. It can appear in the urine within 24 hours, even after minor poisoning. So urine should be examined in all cases of paraquat poisoning continuously. 1 or 2 days you can check. It will be positive less than 24 hours itself. But remember that somebody is having a existing renal disease, or somebody is having acute renal shutdown, you may not get paraquat in urine also. So you will have a difficulty there. You can check for blood still it will be positive. So normally we routinely examine urine paraquat levels. Quantitative confirmation of paraquat in urine is very, very important, but most of the time most of the labs will give only qualitative result. We will not be knowing what is the amount of paraquat present in the urine. So both qualitative and quantitative assessments are very good. Most of the labs will have qualitative confirmation. Okay. So we have discussed that kidney damage will have a negative urine finding. Other investigations like you have to check the electrolytes, creatinine, blood gases, lactate levels, chest X-ray. Electrolytes you can get since there is vomiting, diarrhea, all these things, patients can have hypokalemia or hyponatremia and all. Kidney function test, you can get elevated urea creatinine. Blood gases, initially it will be respiratory alkalosis, then the patient develops metabolic acidosis, then the patient develops lactic acidosis, then the patient develops another type of acidosis because of the renal injury. So it will be basically metabolic acidosis due to various causes. Then lactate will be elevated in most of the paraquat poisoning. Chest X-ray shows bilateral infiltrates. Mostly it is due to ARDS like picture. Some patients initially will have aspiration pneumonia like feature. So these are the basic investigation we do in emergency room. When we talk about management, the most important is airway, breathing, circulation. Taking care is airway, breathing, circulation. Any poisoning, we have to take care of the patients, or any case come to emergency room, we always take care airway, breathing and circulation. Here airway and breathing part is very important, because most of these patients, when they take paraquat, there will be severe inflammation all around the mouth and larynx, pharynx, everywhere. That will produce difficulty in breathing in initial phase itself. If you anticipate an edema, you may have to intubate initially itself. Okay, but remember that this paraquat poisoning, when they don't have hypoxemia, giving oxygen may be dangerous. So we have to continue the patient's oximetry, pulse oximetry. Unnecessary oxygen should not be given for this patient. Oxygen can increase hyperoxygen induced free radical injury. So that should be avoided. Initial phase of oxygen should be avoided. Only if the SpO2 drops less than 90%, we start oxygen. Otherwise, oxygen is not recommended. But if you anticipate an inflammation in the throat and it's going to produce a complete obstruction of airway, then it is better to intubate the patient very fast. Chest examination should be done, because most of these patients initially they can have lung infiltrates because of the aspiration pneumonitis. Later it can produce ARDS or chemical pneumonitis features. ARDS or chemical pneumonitis indicates a very poor prognosis in these patients. The definitive steps of management: first we started, we are taken care of the airway management. Oxygen is recommended only if there is severe hypoxemia, otherwise it is not recommended. Next one is activated charcoal. If the patient presents in less than 1 hour, it is very useful. Up to 4 hours you can give. If the patient has taken larger volume of the toxin, even after that you can give, but up to 4 hours you can safely give. Activated charcoal 1 gram per kg diluted in water should be given through the Ryle's tube. Okay. Many patients will not be able to drink this activated charcoal without a Ryle's tube, so we always try to give through the Ryle's tube. But only one thing, initial phases, if you don't put the Ryle's tube, it will be very difficult to put a Ryle's tube in a severe toxicity, because there will be a lot of ulcers all around the mouth, throat, everywhere. It will be difficult to put a Ryle's tube after that. Hemoperfusion is one of the definitive treatment for paraquat poisoning. So you can go for charcoal hemoperfusion initially if there is no renal failure. If there is renal failure, we can go for charcoal hemoperfusion with hemodialysis. So without renal failure, only hemoperfusion will be effective, or it will be needed. Hemoperfusion should be given for 4 hours. Start within first 4 hours of the ingestion. So without renal failure, only hemoperfusion. With renal failure, hemoperfusion with hemodialysis. Okay. Plasmapheresis is also equally effective, but it is not recommended in many textbooks. It can also be given, so that also can be tried. So hemoperfusion is one of the definitive and indicated treatment for paraquat poisoning. So activated charcoal hemoperfusion, two important things. And this picture shows how to do the hemoperfusion. It's done with a dialysis machine. You can go charcoal hemoperfusion if there is no renal failure. You can add hemodialysis along with the perfusion if there is renal failure. Other treatment options, I already discussed that you can go for plasmapheresis. There is another way of treating this paraquat poisoning. Anti-inflammatory drugs are very, very important. You can give dexamethasone. Textbook says 8 milligram IV TID, but we can, as an anti-inflammatory, you can always give it as a single dose. So instead of giving 8 milligram IV TID, you can give the whole dose as a single dose. That will give a higher anti-inflammatory dose. Some doctors prefer to give cyclophosphamide. That all these drugs, whether it is dexamethasone or cyclophosphamide, is given to prevent the lung fibrosis. So lung fibrosis can be prevented by dexamethasone or cyclophosphamide. Another antioxidant therapy is N-acetylcysteine infusion. So N-acetylcysteine is an antioxidant. It can be used in liver injury. It can be used in renal injury. Diaquat is another type of herbicide. It's related to paraquat. The clinical features and treatment are almost same. So we have discussed about one of the common herbicides which is present in our country, and its toxicity and the management of this paraquat poisoning. Thank you.